What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mina, and today's video is going to be something that I thought would be an interesting idea. So obviously we all have Instagrams, naturally so. I am one of those people. I have a bookish Instagram and I have a personal Instagram. The bookish Instagram I don't really post anything on. I just basically use it to follow and creep on the book creators and the authors that I love without having to look through all the other people's stories and the posts that are typically on my timeline. So I created the book one just to be able to creep on that stuff, and it's always linked down below in the description, but you don't have to follow it. It's not a thing that you have to do. If you want to, then that's fine, but if you don't want to, that's completely fine. Today, what we're going to be doing is something that I thought of on the fly, and I don't know if anybody else has done this before, but I thought about it while being on my Instagram, because obviously being on your Instagram, the feed is kind of like created for you. Same thing with TikTok. Like, your algorithm will be based on what you like and what you spend time looking at, and I look at a lot of books on my book Instagram. So I thought I might as well go into my explore page on Instagram and read the first 3 books that pop up on my Instagram. So that's what we're doing today, and I have a video of it right here that I will play it and tell you about the books that we're going to be reading. And I'm doing that this way because I forgot to film myself while I was scrolling through my Insta Explorer, because I thought, what if I don't find any interesting books? I'm gonna show you me scrolling, and then I'll tell you, because I already took this video, so I'll tell you which books I picked and decided on. The first book that I will be reading for this challenge is Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. This is what it looks like. So it's a fantasy. I have never seen anything about this on my Instagram or YouTube ever before until I did this video. The one that came into my explore page was the second book in this trilogy series, I'm not really sure, which was Cursed Crowns. And obviously I can't read the second book in a trilogy or a series. I did start with the first book in the series, and you saw the illustration that popped up on my explore page, and I thought it was very, very interesting. I haven't read a fantasy book in a very long time, and so I thought I might as well start with this one because the art looked very interesting and very fun, and I love me a good romantasy, and this seemed very interesting. And I love the cover and I love the name. I decided that this would be the first one that I read in this video because I want a good fantasy romance, and this one seems a lot of fun. I'm not really sure what this book is about. I will let future me tell you. Then the next book, we have Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, Where the Love Light Gleams. I'm not really sure what this book is about. It's a series, and the picture comes on my explore page at least once a week for some freaking reason. I've never been interested in this series. I've never been interested in reading a Christmas series this time of year. Obviously you would save this for a holiday season, and I've never been interested in these, but these special copies always pop up on my feed and always pop up on my explore page, so I figured I might as well bite the bullet and read it, and then I can tell the ad that I'm not interested and to stop showing it to me. This just doesn't seem like something that I would enjoy, but yeah, we're gonna read it finally so I can stop seeing it on my feed because I'm sick of it. And then we have the book that I don't have that I will be getting from my library, which is A Magical Girl Retires by Park Sol-yeon, and you saw the post, you'll see it here. It's beautiful. The version that is popping up on my feed is beautiful. It's a special edition. Not sure why. It's by TBB Box, and I just thought the cover was beautiful, and I see a little card that reminds me of tarot cards, which I love, and it's also a fantasy, I believe. So I figured I might as well read 2 fantasies and a romance, and those are the books that we're going to be reading this week. So I'll let you get to future me and let her read those books, and she'll tell you what she thinks about them and if they're worthy of your time or not. So I hope you like the idea of this video. Let me know if you do or not, because we can probably do a part 2 where I look into my book talk and see which books pop up, because I'm obviously on book talk as well, and we can read the first 3 books that pop up on my book talk Explorer or on my feed, because I think that would be very interesting as well, because I do a lot of interesting searches on TikTok for very different types of books, so I think that would be interesting as well. So let me know down below if that's something you would be interested in seeing and watching. And without further rambling, let's get on with this video and read these 3 books that my Explorer page on Instagram picked out for me. Don't know what this is about, but this is blurbed I just saw by the Sarah J. Maas. I was thoroughly bewitched by this marvelous book. Don't miss it. It's fantasy. Two princesses, one throne. What could go wrong? Wow, the people that have reviewed this are crazy. Two princesses fighting for the same crown. The posts about this was really interesting on Instagram. This book is 466 pages, and I'm starting this today. Obviously, it's a fantasy. I am in the mood for a fantasy. I haven't read a fantasy in a very long time, and I feel like it's about time. Not really the biggest fan of the cover. I don't really like illustrated fantasy covers like this for some reason, but it could be a lot worse, I think. So there's a map in the front. Shut up right now. Anytime there's a map in the front, you already know it's going to be a good book. Not that I ever consult it later, you know. I'm always like, oh, there's a map in the front of the book, and then I never actually look back at it once I actually do start the book. So, you know, that says a lot, but it's giving, period. So I'm going to start this today, and then I'll get back to you if I have an update, or when I have an update, I guess, because I probably will, you know. I am now 166 pages in. This is how much I've read. I don't know what percentage I'm in. I want to say maybe 27-30%. This is how much I've read. This book is basically a fantasy about this world where witches are frowned upon. You can't be a witch because they're being hunted by the royal family, I guess. And the reason for that is that there was like a marriage of convenience between a witch and a non-witch to like bring the two things together, to like have like, you know, a union that basically brings the people together, and they end up both being assassinated. And the queen dies while giving birth, and no one notices that she gives birth to twin girls. Instead, they think that she gave birth to one girl, and the one girl grows in the castle, and she's a princess, and she's the last of her line, and she's a non-witch, or she thinks she is. And the other girl, the other twin, who is Wren, she gets raised outside of the castle, outside of the entire world of the royal family, and she gets basically trained her entire life to, by her grandma, mind you, to take over Rose's place. And Rose is the twin that's being raised in the castle to become the queen, to be coronated within a month. So basically, Wren and her best friend break into the castle. She takes Rose's place to become the princess so she can be coronated as the queen and take over the land as the witch queen, to basically avenge her mother, who was killed because she was a witch. And Rose gets taken by Wren's best friend, and she gets taken to the land of the witches, and she's supposed to stay there for a month until the coronation is over so she doesn't get crowned as queen. And that's basically what's going on. I think there's going to be a romance between the guard of the betrothed of Princess Rose and Wren, and Wren's best friend and Rose, because now that they've swapped lives, basically they're getting to meet these new people, and there's like some chemistry going on, and I really ship it. This is a very easy fantasy world to get into. It's not really all that complicated. The magic system isn't that complicated. The fantasy of it all isn't complicated and like hard to follow along with. I'm really enjoying my time with it. It's really easy to read. Like within maybe an hour and a half, I've read 160 pages, which is not bad. Usually it would take me a lot longer to read a fantasy because you have to know the rules of the world and how the magic works and how the characters are and how to say certain words, but none of that with this book. This one is very easy to follow along with. Right now, I can't really give you a rating It's not the best fantasy, it's not the worst fantasy, but I think I have to get in a little bit further for me to make that judgment, because as of right now, I can't really judge it off of 160 pages when it's a 400-page book. I love me a good espionage, like when the character has to like infiltrate a castle and pretend to be someone else. That subtrope is where I live. That's why I loved Ember and the Ashes so much by Sabat here, because the girl goes into the castle, pretends to be a maid when she's really a princess, and she's the rightful owner of the crown and whatnot. And so I love me a little espionage theme. I'm there, I'm sat. So yeah, for that reason, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm glad it popped up on my feed, and I will continue to read it and tell you how I feel about it. But as of right now, like I've said a million and one times at this point, I'm enjoying it. Today, I spent literally my entire day reading Twin Crowns. I keep forgetting what it's called. I want to call it something else. I read to page 406 today, which I believe this book is 460 something, if I'm not mistaken. This book is 466, so I am officially 60 pages away from the end, and I don't know how to feel about this book, because honestly, for one, it's a very, very easy fantasy to get into. And I feel like for that reason alone, because it's so easy to get into, you're not really putting in much effort to understand the world or the universe or the way the magic works. It's very easygoing. And so I feel like I have less attachment to the characters. I know that feels a little bit strange, but I don't see myself continuing on with the rest of the series, no matter how many books it is. If it's a trilogy, if it's a duology, I don't see myself continuing on with the rest of it, just because I feel like I am getting all that I need from this book. Unless this book ends on a really crazy cliffhanger, I don't see myself going back and going out of my way to find the second book or the third book in this series. It's not a bad fantasy by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually very easy to read and very easy to get through. The characters are very powerful and very like independent girlies type of girls, and I like that about them, and I like the romances that each of them is getting. I think it's a great romance between each of the characters respectfully in their own relationships. I just don't have anything in them. Like, I'm not feeling like I would lose anything by not continuing on with the rest of the story. It feels like just a regular fantasy. I don't feel obsessed with it. I don't feel like I'm thinking of it when I'm putting the book down. It doesn't feel like I'm, like dying, breathing, living, and thinking of this book constantly. I'm just reading it because I'm reading it, and it's fun, and it's a good experience while I am reading it, but I'm not going crazy over it. I will tell you all my feelings and thoughts and review on it, I guess, probably in the wrap up and after I finish it, because I am going to finish this today. I started it yesterday, and I read I don't remember how much I read. I'm sure I updated you about that, but I'm going to sit and I'm going to finish this book today, so I don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. And also just because it's very easy to read, and I could have finished it earlier today, but I kind of forced myself to put it down so I can go do other things because I had other things to do. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to finish this book, and I will let you know how I feel about it, and then we can move on to the second book of this video. I finished Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber, which, did you know, they are soon-to-be sister-in-laws at the time that they wrote this. So I think they are sister-in-laws right now, which is insane to think about, because imagine writing a book with your sister-in-law. That's the best type of friendship, best type of relationship. So I'm giving it 3.5 stars. No, I'm giving it 3.75 stars. Bordering on 3.5 stars because I don't know how I feel about it yet. Very entertaining, very easy, but I think it was very predictable and too oversimplified to the point where the plot felt like, okay, like why should I care about anything that's happening in this world, As I've mentioned before, I will probably not be reading the second or the third book that are out. I believe they are out at this point. But I had fun reading it, and I'm glad that I saw the book recommended on my Explore page. I don't think I've ever read a book like this.
in quite a while, so it felt very different. I wish it wasn't so oversimplified to the point where I didn't care about the plot because I knew everything would be revealed soon enough without me having to put in any of the work to try to get closer to the characters or get to know them better. So while I enjoyed it and I'm giving it 3.75 stars, I will not be continuing on with the rest of the series, but I'm glad I gave it a shot, and I love the art on the cover. She's so pretty. We're gonna start the second book of this video, which I've decided to do it in a different way. I've decided to read, obviously this was a fantasy, right? So obviously this was a fantasy. I'm going to read Love Light Forms next because it's a romance and I feel like it'll be easier for me to read now that I've read a fantasy. Does that make sense? This one is 304 pages, so I'll probably be able to finish this tomorrow, and then I'll read the last book, which will also be a fantasy, so I figured I might as well break the fantasies up with a romance in the middle. I believe this is probably going to be about Christmas, because there's mistletoe on the cover, and this is probably going to take place at a Christmas tree farm, because obviously farms, and there's like a tree, you know, those scent things that you put in your car, and yeah, I don't know what this is about. A pasture of dead trees, a hostile takeover of the Santa barn by a family of raccoons, and shipments that have mysteriously gone missing. Love Light Farms is not the magical winter wonderland of Stella Bloom's dreams. The tagline is two best friends fake date to reach their holiday happily ever after in this first romantic comedy in the Love Light series. So it's a fake dating trope. I did look into if this is spicy or not, and I believe I did read somewhere that it is a little bit spicy. Hopefully I like it, because I'm going into it kind of with not very high hopes, because I've heard some people really don't like this entire series, so hopefully I like it, and it breaks the streak of people not liking it. Love Light Farms all morning. I'm filming on my phone, so if the quality isn't really as great, whether it be the sound or the camera quality, then forgive me for that, but I'm filming on my phone. So I have been reading Love Light Farms by D.K. Borison all morning, and I am now, I want to say like 30%, 25% in. I'm on chapter 12 on page 128, and this book is 304 pages, I want to say. Yeah, 304 pages. And this is how much I have left, and then this is like the acknowledgements, and I believe like a sneak peek into the next book in the series. But I have some thoughts. So this book is basically about this girl. This book is about this girl who owns a Christmas tree farm, and the Christmas tree farm is struggling. Like her stuff is getting destroyed. She's not doing well with finances or anything like that, and the people that work for her also know that she's not doing very well. So she applies for this influencer to like this influencer on Instagram who's doing like this thing where she goes and sees these places to give them an award of the best place to stay at for like a vacation. And she's very obsessed with romance, and most of her pieces involve some sort of couple that owns something together. And so when Stella, the main character, goes to fill out the form to have her Christmas tree farm looked at, she says that she's dating someone and that she bought the Christmas tree farm with her significant other. She doesn't have a significant other. And the influencer decides to go look at the Christmas tree farm, and so Stella needs to find someone to fake date to basically sell the ruse to the influencer so she can get some backing, some financial some financial help with people coming to her stuff. If the influencer talks about it, we know how influencing works. So she asks her best friend Luca to fake date her for a week while the influencer is there at the Christmas tree farm so they can sell the ruse and she can get the award and get put on the blog of this influencer so she can get more people coming to the forum, and that way she can make more money. And I don't know how I feel about this. It's not bad. It's not great. It's basically average. Like, the fake dating concept is okay. They're best friends, and so they're basically going from best friends to lovers via fake dating. And while I would usually love that trope, but I feel like I don't really in this one. I'm not sure why. It's just like the grounds for fake dating like are very blurry, and it doesn't seem like like there's any angst or pining or yearning. Like, she's in love with him and he's in love with her, but neither of them have said anything to the other. And so them fake dating is like bringing up all these feelings to the surface and making her feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because then it's gonna ruin our friendship and stuff like that. But I don't really feel connected to the characters enough to be like, oh my god, I want them together so badly. Like, I don't really care all that much, to be honest. It's not bad. It's not great either. Right now it stands probably at a 3.5 stars, I want to say, which is not great, and it's not bad either. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm 30% in, so my mood about this could probably change. My thoughts and opinions of this might change the further I go into the story, but I don't know.
I am on page 266 on chapter 22. I just wanted to come on here and give you some thoughts that I'm having. I am so incredibly frustrated with this book. The third act breakup just happened, and it was so unnecessary. So unnecessary and so stupid that it's pissed me off. It's pissed me off beyond belief. The main character, Stella, is so irritating, and I do not like her. She's cute, she's adorable, she's so nice, but she's so frustrating because of how clueless she is. She's so incredibly clueless that she doesn't see what's in front of her. And the third act breakup happens because she's stupid. Not because there's any need for there to be a third act breakup, but just because she's irritating. It feels like we should have, like, naturally a relationship would adjust. I would like to think a real life relationship. Mind you, I know that this book isn't realistic. Obviously, this is a novel. It's a fictionalized story. It's not real, right? I would like to think if you're a grown adult and you're in a relationship with this person that you've loved for years and he's your best friend and you have the success, because okay, they go on this like trial period of being like, let's pretend we're really together, and they end up sleeping together. Mind you, all this happens and they're talking to each other and they talk in front of the influencer and they tell each other that, like, you know, I've loved you since the day I saw you, and I went out of my way to go to these places just so I can run into you, blah, 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 right? And then the trial period ends, and she like panics. Stella panics and creates this conflict that's not necessary. It does not need to be there. There's no real life relationship that would work out that way if they had the success that they had in the trial period. You would think he's being so genuine and so honest, and I think that's what's pissing me off so much, is because he's such a genuine guy and he's genuinely telling her like how he feels and what he feels, and he's being so completely honest and open with her, and then she turns around and does stupid shit. And I'm like, are you 17? Like, you're a grown adult. You're supposed to be a grown adult, and you're acting like a teenager who is in her very first relationship ever. He's clearly shown you how he feels about you. It's just so irritating because she's so stupid. It's so irritating. Finished Love Life Farms by BK Borson, and I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I know it's a little bit of a low rating. It's not bad. Obviously, you heard my problem with the third act breakup. It was unnecessary. Some books I think do really well with the third act breakup because I feel like the story kind of gets repetitive and boring, and so you need the third act breakup to get you yearning for them again. So I understand the third act breakup usually in a book. I even eat them up, really, if you will. But this one just felt like it was unnecessary. I don't really understand why we added it in there. The girl was just being so not a grown-up and not an adult without any thought or like self-awareness, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't like the fact that they did the third act breakup for no reason. I like Luca as a character. I think he's one of the most earnest men that I've read about. He's very honest. He tells Stella what he wants up front, and you know, it's like a cute best friends to lovers, and it would have been cute best friends to lovers with fake dating had it not had that little snag in the last 50 pages of the book. So I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm glad that I can say that I've read it now, so every time I see it on my explore page, I can be like, all right, I get it, you know, I've read it. I don't see myself continuing on with the rest of the series. I don't know how many books there are in this series, but I do remember seeing a lot of them, at least 5 or 4. It's okay, 3.5 stars. I'm glad we can say that I've read it, so we can move on. And that's my review on this. The last book that I will be reading for this video actually just came out in May, according to the sticker on the back of this. I got this from the library. This is A Magical Girl Retires by Park Sol-yeon, and it's translated by Anton Her. The cover is majestic. Are you kidding me? Look at the cover. Very, like, this is very tarot card inspired, at least I feel like. It gives off very Sailor Moon vibes, which I love. There's the inside, which is so pretty. The back has this cute little illustration, which is also on the front, and I really, really like it. This cover is one of the prettiest covers I've ever seen. Like, are we all right? Do we see the same thing? A millennial turned magical girl must combat climate change and credit card debt in this whimsical and wildly imaginative ode to magical girl manga. That's interesting. I did not know what this book was about, to be honest. That's very, very interesting. Oh, there's little illustrations on the inside. That's very pretty. There's like a content list. This book is 160 pages with the note from the illustrator. So really the book is 154 pages, and then you have a note from the translator and like the acknowledgements. Yeah, this is written by a South Korean author, and it was translated to English, obviously, by Anton Her, and I'm very excited. Love the cover. Love the cover. I would buy this book simply for the cover, to be honest, just to have it. I'll probably be able to finish this very quickly. I love the illustrations in here. Are you kidding me? Shut up right now. This one is beautiful. Wow. Wow. I might just end up getting myself a copy that's not from the library. It says it's fiction, fantasy, and contemporary, so I'll pick this up probably tonight because I'm really interested now. Maybe even earlier than that, because I really want to know. I really want to get into this book, you know? So it is the last day of this challenge. I ended up reading a lot of I actually read the entirety of A Magical Girl Retires by Park So-yeon this morning. I finished this entire thing in one sitting, which is not hard considering that with the acknowledgement and the note from the author and the note from the translator and the illustrator, it was like 160 pages. So it was very, very quick to read, very easy to finish. This felt very magical, and the best way that I can describe it is that it felt mostly whimsical and like ethereal. It's kind of like watching a Sailor Moon episode. It has that feeling to it. It has like the 90s animation nostalgia. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because of the cover that I feel that way, but I really, really enjoyed this book. I'm giving it 3.75 stars because I feel like 4 stars is a little too much for the amount that I enjoyed the story for. It's not a bad story. It was just really short. It's about this girl who is trying to kill herself. We open this book with her almost committing suicide because she's in debt and her grandpa just passed away and she has no hope, and she's like, I'm just getting further and further in debt and my life doesn't have meaning and stuff like that, and she's alone and she doesn't have anyone to talk to, doesn't have a job, and so she feels like she's basically like struggling through life for no reason. She's like, I might as well just end the suffering now and end my life. And right as she's about to get ran over by a car, this girl comes out of the car and she's dressed like an angel, and she tells her that she is the chosen magical girl of time. And in this world, there are a bunch of like girls who have magical powers. There's like the magical girl of wishes and the magical girl of time and the magical girl of whatever. And the reason why I'm giving it 3.75 stars is because as much as it is kind of like, it feels a little bit childish at times, the author note at the end and the translator note at the end, they tell you that the reason why there's only magical girls in this world, like there's no man who has magical powers. The reason why the girls have magical powers is because whatever they need the most at that moment, that basically manifests in them. It basically talks about how hard women struggle in a society like the society in South Korea, and how there's so much violence going against them and not a lot of people stand up for them, and there's a lot of atrocities that are committed to these women. And the author basically was just fed up with that, and so she created these girls who have magical powers that are able to get them out of those situations. So for say, if you have like a woman suffering with domestic abuse, then she would have a power to get out of that, and it's the thing that you need the very most. I thought was really, really thoughtful. I don't think I've ever read a book like this, especially not a book this short and so concise and able to tell a story. You get really attached to the character and you really start to feel for her because she's so, like, she's reaching the end of her rope, and it's so upsetting to see and so heartwarming at the same time, because you get to watch her basically grow and become this person and reach her end goal, and it's so lovely. And I really, really enjoyed myself with this book. I enjoyed my time reading it. It felt very quick. It went by very fast. I read it in very little time, and I definitely recommend it. I think this is a very interesting story, especially if you like 90s animation or like 90s anime in general. If you like Sailor Moon or stuff like that, Powerpuff Girls, this is very girl feminist book, a very girly book, if you will. This is the girl book. I haven't read anything so strongly feminist in a very long time, and I really, really enjoyed myself with this book, and I definitely recommend it. I'm so glad that this popped up on my feed and on my explore page so I can have a chance to read it, because I've never heard of this book. Just like that, this video is over, so let's rewind and talk about what I read this week. So I started this week reading Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber, and I enjoyed this. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was a very entertaining story, very interesting like premise, I guess, but it just didn't follow all the way through for me. It felt a little bit lackluster because I really didn't have anything like at stake, not with the characters, not with the premise of the story. It was oversimplified and over predictable, or like really predictable to the point where it just kind of felt like, why am I reading this book? But it was fun while I read it. Definitely not going to continue on with the rest of the series though. Then I read Love Light Farms by BK Borison, and this one was fun, very cute rom-com. If you like Christmassy romance, then I think you would really like this one. The spice was okay. The relationship between the characters was okay. Like I said, I think I already told you about my opinion on this, but the fake dating aspect of it didn't feel like it was all that giddy and exciting the way it does usually in other books that that have this trope, and so for that it was a little bit disappointing, but I enjoyed my time with it nonetheless. I think this would be a lot more fun to read, obviously during the holiday season, but I'm reading it in the middle of summer, so you know, that kind of lost the magic of it. But like, I enjoyed it, but I think I gave it 3.5. I'm giving it, in hindsight, I'm giving it like 3.5 stars. And then the final book that I read is A Magical Girl Retires by Park Sol-yeon, translated by Anton Her. And this one was a really fun, magical book. It was very ethereal, very whimsical. It gave Sailor Moon vibes, and for that, I loved it because I love Sailor Moon. I even dressed up as Sailor Moon at some point during Halloween. And so when it gave that vibe to me, I ate it up. I'm giving this one 3.75 stars. I really, really enjoyed the story. I don't think I've ever read anything with this kind of premise, and so for that reason it was very interesting and very entertaining, and it helps that it's very, very short. So if you need to catch up on your Goodreads goal, if you've fallen behind a little bit and you need short books, then I definitely recommend this one. I thought it was so fun. I'm so glad it came on my Explore page, not just because of how beautiful it is, but also because of how earnest the story feels. These are the 3 books that I read this week. I really had a lot of fun reading these books. I enjoyed my time reading what my Explore page on Instagram recommended to me. I don't know that I will ever do this again, but I do think that maybe it would be interesting to do this type of video with maybe my feed on TikTok, or maybe my whatever book out or like book quote I see recommended on my Tumblr, because that does happen a lot, and I reblog a lot of tweets. Usually there are a lot of Sylvia Plath though, so I'm not sure how I feel about that, but if you're interested in watching something like that, then let me know down in the comments and give this video a thumbs up so I know you're interested. But if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. Why am I holding these like I'm holding them ransom? Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you've stuck around, I appreciate it. It means the entire world to me. I hope you have the very best day. Treat yourself to something nice, and I'll see you guys again next week with another video. Goodbye!